What if I told you that Danny Koker's life after counting cars is nothing like what you think, that behind the leather jackets, the bandanas, and the larger-than-life personality there's a story that very few people know, one that will completely change how you see him. Because let's be honest, when a reality TV icon like Danny suddenly disappears from the spotlight, people start asking questions for over a decade. He was everywhere, turning junkyard wrecks into jaw-dropping machines, running one of the most famous custom car shops in the world, and becoming a legend in the automotive industry. But then something strange happened. The cameras stopped rolling. Counting cars was suddenly gone, and before anyone knew it, Danny Koker wasn't front and center anymore. So what really happened? Did he step away voluntarily? Was there drama behind the scenes, or did something force him to walk away from everything he built? The truth is more shocking, unexpected, and controversial than you'd ever imagine, and trust me, it gets crazier the deeper we go to understand what happened to Danny Koker. After counting cars, we need to go back to where it all began, before the fame, before the reality TV success. Danny was a man with a burning passion for two things: cars and music. Growing up in a family full of musicians, he was surrounded by rock and roll, but he also developed an obsession with classic cars, custom builds, and restoring forgotten machines to their former glory. Then came Kustoms, the shop that would change everything. What started as a personal passion project exploded into one of the most well-known custom car shops in the world, with a mix of raw talent, an eye for detail, and a crew of dedicated builders. Danny turned his business into a must-visit destination for car lovers, and when Counting Cars hit television screens in 2012, it was an instant success. Millions tuned in to watch Danny and his team bring rusted-out vehicles back to life. The show wasn't just about cars, it was about storytelling, transformation, and the thrill of the unexpected. And Danny, he was the face of it all. He had the charisma, the knowledge, and the kind of passion that made people believe in what he was doing. But here's the thing: fame comes at a cost, and behind the scenes, the reality of running a high-profile custom car shop was starting to take a toll on Danny in ways that no one saw coming at first. Everything seemed perfect. The show was thriving. Kustoms was busier than ever, and Danny Koker was at the top of his game. But success in the world of reality TV is a double-edged sword. What fans didn't see was the incredible pressure that came with keeping the business afloat while constantly trying to outdo the last build. There were deadlines, contracts, the constant need to create something bigger, better, and more shocking to keep audiences engaged. And while the show was making millions for the network, the reality of running a custom car shop was a completely different story. The costs of high-end builds were skyrocketing, parts were harder to find, and with the demand to constantly produce unique, over-the-top cars, the financial strain was becoming more and more real. And then there were the rumors, whispers of legal troubles, financial issues, and behind-the-scenes disputes. Some claimed that Kustoms was in serious financial trouble. Others speculated that Danny was ready to walk away from TV altogether. But the truth, it was even crazier than anyone imagined, because Danny Koker wasn't just struggling with business pressures, he was facing something even bigger, something that threatened to change his life forever. Here's where things take a wild turn. The moment Counting Cars ended, Danny found himself at a crossroads. Reality TV had made him a star, but it had also locked him into an exhausting cycle that he couldn't keep up with. Forever, for years, he had been the face of the show, the leader of Kustoms, the guy who always had an answer, always had a vision, always had the energy to push forward. But behind the cameras, things weren't as glamorous as they Seemed the custom car industry was changing, the economy was shifting, and fewer people were willing to spend massive amounts of money on extravagant car build shops across the country were struggling to stay afloat. Some of the biggest names in the business were shutting their doors for good, and Danny, he was stuck in the middle of it all. While fans assumed he was simply taking a break, the reality was much more intense. He was fighting to keep his empire alive. Kustoms was still standing, but the costs of running a world-famous shop were overwhelming. The financial pressure, the expectations, and the responsibility of keeping everything running, it was all catching up to him. And here's where it gets even crazier, because while most people thought Danny Koker would spend the rest of his life building cars, he had other plans that would take him in a direction no one saw coming. What if I told you that Danny Koker wasn't just a car guy anymore, that after counting cars he started focusing on something that had been a part of his life long before the fame, long before Kustoms, and long before reality TV turned him into a household name. That's right, music. See, before he became a reality TV icon, Danny Koker was a musician at heart. It was his first love, his true passion, and after stepping away from TV, he didn't just slow down, he reinvented himself. Danny went all in on his band Count 77. He started performing more, writing music, and rebuilding his life outside of the automotive world. While fans expected him to stay in the garage forever, Danny was out on stage, living the rockstar dream that had been in his blood since he was a kid. And here's the shocking part, he's happier than ever. No cameras, no reality TV deadlines, no pressure to constantly outdo himself, just pure passion, pure creativity, and the freedom to live life on his own terms. So what's the truth about Danny Koker's life after counting cars? It's not what people assumed. He didn't disappear, he didn't lose it all, he didn't fade away into obscurity. Instead, he evolved, he adapted, he took control of his own destiny and chose to follow the path that truly made him happy. Kustoms is still around, but Danny's focus has shifted. He's not just a reality TV star anymore, he's a musician, a businessman, and a man who knows when to move forward. And if there's one thing we can all learn from Danny Koker's journey, it's this: success isn't about holding on to the past, it's about knowing when to embrace the future. So the next time someone asks, what happened to Danny Koker, the real question is, what's next? Because if we've learned anything about Danny, it's that he's not done surprising us yet.